so I just went ahead and typed my raw data. I only did 3 trials for each data point. Yeah, I didn't know that you can have yours open now, but I don't really need it open yet. And right now, this is a very ugly data table. First of all, I would want to get some grid marks in here. So what I just did was clicked and highlighted like all of the cells that make up my data table. This guy right up here is for borders. So I can try just clicking that and see what the default is, and I'm almost happy with the default. I'll leave that alone for right now. So now I have a gridded data table, that's better. I don't like how my text is longer than the width of the cell, so let me deal with that next. I just clicked and highlighted all 3 of the cells in my first row, and now I'm going to go up to Format, and I'm going to format those cells, right? First of all, I want to make sure that they are text, so in the Number tab, I'm assigning it to the text category, and I'll hit, I don't think I need to hit OK. And then for alignment, if I go to the Alignment tab, I can click this Wrap Text, and then that should end up making that column height or the row height larger. Right, and then I have unstretched position. It's much more attractive, and we could actually read everything that I wrote. Now, in the raw data tables, any data table that we do for IB, we want to have not just the name of the quantity, but we also want to have the symbol for that quantity. So mass, the symbol for that is a lowercase m. And then I do want to have the units as well, both the name of the unit as well as the symbol for the unit. So maybe in the next, no, I might want to do that in the same cell. It might be better in the next cell. I'll say grams, right, which has a symbol of a G. I measured mine in grams. I didn't do any converting yet. Similarly, for unstretched position, I'm going to call position as the symbol is a D. So I'll do the letter D, and I suppose I need a different symbol than I would use for stretched position. So maybe I want to give that a subscript 0, right, for the initial position. So how the heck can I do that? If I do the formatting palette, there is no, yeah, if I do the formatting palette, I ought to get the option for a subscript. Yes, there it is. Oops, I made the whole thing a subscript. I don't want that. So I just went up to my formula bar, I clicked where I actually am going to add the 0. Now I'll do subscript. I'm not sure that it did it. It did do it. Right? It doesn't show up in the formula bar, but it does show up in my cell there. And then my units for that were centimeters. So I'll type that in there. I'll do the exact same, ooh, and I didn't wrap that, so I'll need to go back and wrap that second row as well. For stretched position, I want to do the same thing. I want the symbol, so that's D, but this time it would be like maybe a D1 or a DF or something. So I'm going to call it subscript 1. And then that would be centimeters as well. Alright, so let me go ahead and wrap those 3 rows so it'll be nice and cleaner. So that was format cells. I want to make sure that it knows that that's text. And then for alignment, I check off the wrap text. Alright, so that's better. Now I'm getting somewhere. I want to put my uncertainties at the top of my columns, not associated with each individual measurement. So I'm going to insert a new row right, in between my headings and my data. So I highlighted the row that I want, where I want it to be inserted, and I'll go to the Insert tab and then Rows, right? And I think I have to hunt for the symbol for plus or minus. I don't think I can type in a plus or minus and have it tell me the right and have it look good. So I'll insert.
It's Alt.
I can do it.
It's Alt Shift plus.
Alt Shift plus. I don't have an Alt.
Or it's like the Alt option.
Option Shift plus. That worked fantastically. And I did not find the masses of my masses. I just used what was printed on them. So I don't have that much confidence in that. I'm going to go plus or minus 1 gram. So now I have my uncertainty there. Maybe I want to right justify it instead of left justify it. But let me get my other ones put in, then I'll do that all at once. For my positions, I'm going to go plus or minus 0.3. Command Shift plus. That didn't do it that time.
It's not command, it's option.
Option Shift plus. Alright, and then 0.3 centimeters is my selected uncertainty, and it would be the same thing for my stretched position. Option Shift plus 0.3 centimeters. Alright, and I just think it's going to look nicer if I justify those uncertainties to the right of the cell. So I highlighted them. If I go to alignment and spacing, I can align text right. And I just think that looks nicer. Alright, I'm just going to save, but there's some more that I want to do. I think that the formatting would be better if I had all of my heading stuff maybe without grid lines. So I highlighted all those, and then I'm just going to like ungrid it. I think I need to actually select that. Maybe if I just don't do the internal grid lines, that might be nicer looking. Why aren't you doing it for me? I don't know why it's not taking away those internal grid lines. Any ideas?
You're gonna have to, I think you have to take away them from the whole thing and then go back.
Really, the whole thing?
No, I can do it on here without it.
It won't let me do it on mine. It had to make me take off.
Alright, well that's ugly. So maybe in the future I just won't grid the whole thing until the end. I'm not going to mess around with it right now. Alright, so we might have, I see some other problems with my data. Look at this. This 6. Where the heck's the 0.0? I need to add it. Now, most of you in the 12s, right? I want all of my precisions to be consistent with each other. So let me yell at Excel. I'm going to highlight all of those cells, right? Because that seems to be the only column I have the problem. So I'm just going to handle all those the same. I'm going to highlight them. I'm going to go to Format Cells again. Now, this time, right, I do want it to be numbers. I think I can only do this if I give it the number category. And then I'm going to tell it how many decimal places to go. I want it to go to the 0.1 centimeter spot. So I'm going to set the decimal place to be 1. And then it should add the 0.0s to the ones that should have them but didn't before. Alright, and then I think the only other thing that would make my table look nicer is I need to fill in the trials that I didn't put in before. So I'll just add 5 to the second and third trial for the 5 grams. I'll add the 15s to the second and third trial for that one, and then the 35s to the second and third trial for that one. And now I have, I think, a pretty darn nice raw data table. So I don't really want to repeat anything that I just said because you'll be able to view it tonight, but are there any follow-up questions about things that I've done to the raw data table? Alright, now what are the 2 things that we're going to graph? Maybe I didn't say, but one of them is force, and then the other one is the stretch, or like the displacement of the spring. I don't have any of that yet. So I want to create a new data table that's going to give me those things. So let me maybe start working down here. I'm not going to worry about making it nice and pretty yet, but let me give myself a column for force and then a column for stretch. Those are the 2 things that I want. Now, the forces are going to come from the masses that I have up here. And I know that first I need to take the mass in grams and convert it to kilograms, and then I just need to multiply that by 9.81. So I'm going to write an equation into these cells that will do that for me. So I don't have to use my calculator at all. I think a bunch of you know how to do that, but I don't think that everybody knows how to do that. So really the only thing I need to find to write this equation is what cell I'm pulling this first mass from. And that cell is in column B, and it's in row 4. So that cell is known as B4. So in my first force cell, I'm going to put an equal sign. That's how Excel knows that I'm about to give it an equation. I'm going to do a parenthesis. I'm going to type in cell B4. Now look, it's highlighted in blue, the cell that I just referenced. And we said the first thing we had to do was convert that into kilograms. So I have my B4 in the formula bar. I do a slash, which means I'm dividing that by something. And then I'm typing in 1,000. And I'll close the parenthesis. And then the other thing that I needed to do to turn that into a force was multiply that by 9.81. So I'm going to put an asterisk there, which means multiplication, and then type 9.81. A common thing that I mess up with when I write equations is I try and click somewhere else because I want to move on to the next thing, but you actually have to hit return first. So hit return, and boom, the force for that first trial is 0.04905 newtons, right? Done. I need to clean up the significant digits and whatnot, but now I can copy that cell down and get the new forces. Right? Again, I'll clean this up later. I don't need to do that right now, but let me show you a neat way to copy that formula down to my other cells. Right? I want to make sure that I'm clicked on that cell that is now giving me the answer to my equation. You might not be able to see from where you're sitting, but when I click that, it's kind of highlighted in purple around the edge of that box, and in the very bottom right-hand corner, there's a dot. I want to get my cursor on that dot. I'll know that I'm there when the cursor changes from this fat plus sign to this skinny plus sign. Right? Then I'm right over top of that dot, and I can click that dot and drag it down, and it will paste that formula into the other cells. Save again. Now, I absolutely care about the uncertainty in the force. The percent uncertainty in the force should be the same as the percent uncertainty in the mass. Because the only thing we did to it was convert the prefix and then multiply it by like essentially a constant. So I'll probably have to manually find the kind of relative uncertainty in the mass and then call that the same thing for the force. We can do that later on. I want to address the stretch, and then we'll do a big long pause. I'll probably stop recording. We'll do another segment later on for the graphing. But I want to do the stretch. So the stretch is going to be the difference between the final, the stretched position, and the unstretched position. So I'm going to write myself another equation. Alright, so I'm going into that cell where I want to paste that equation into. I start with my equal sign, and then I want to subtract the final value from the initial value. So the final value, the stretched position is 3.1. That's in cell D4. So after my equal sign, the first thing I'm going to do is a D4. I don't think I need a parenthesis here, so I'm really only doing one operation. And then I will do a minus sign, and then put in C4, which is where the unstretched position is. Again, when I'm done, I hit the return, right, and it should give me that stretch distance. What is the uncertainty in that 0.9 centimeters? 0.6, yeah. So when I'm subtracting values, I add the absolute uncertainties from those values together. So maybe this time, I'll do a separate column for the uncertainty in the stretch. And I could even write, I actually can't write an equation for that because I don't have those as number cells, I have those as text cells. So I might just have to type that in myself. All right, let me do my little wrap around for these guys also. You can work with your own data right now. I'm not doing anything else that you haven't seen already. Option Shift plus. Beautiful. 0.6. Alright, so I'm actually just going to stop recording. I'll let you guys play with your own data, try and do some of the things you saw me do, and we'll work on graphing in a couple minutes.